Alrighty, welcome to the final match of season five. So this is actually a 1500 match. There was a new record set for highest ever rating, and that was I'm not sure who got there first, but Reika, who's shown here, as well as X12345678 9, also known as Momo. Both of them got into the 1500s for the first time ever. Um, not too long ago, maybe like a couple weeks ago. Um, so yeah, pretty exciting stuff. So this is the first 1500 match. I mean, pretty much. I mean, I guess there were other matches that were played, but first time I'm covering the 1500s. So this is a pretty interesting game with a bit of backstory here. So Reika's one of their more recent games was a loss to another ultra high rated player right now, LVJD. And the loss that Reika suffered here was also in the Sammy Ditto, with Reika in the same position. And so what LBJ did was they built some recons from these right two bases and put a lot of pressure up here. And Reika talked about it later in the Discord. They felt that because of the early Sammy recons, it was kind of a counter to their mechs, and it forced out some tank builds from the right hand side that Sammy doesn't necessarily want to go for. Um, so I don't remember the game too clearly. I just remember seeing some recons, and then LBJD just kind of took a very solid position around these two cities. So with that in mind, I believe that what Talos did here is study that loss that Reika had and then tried to recreate it. So yeah, look for the recons here because that's kind of the secret sauce in this game, I believe. I haven't clicked through it in completion. I've just kind of saw the beginning, or I guess I've clicked through it, but not paying too much attention. So Reika, goes down this way. This makes sense. There's more properties over here. Going for the airport early doesn't net you any air units because you don't have enough money to build them yet. Okay, so both of Reika's infantry move forward here, capturing this way and presumably capturing here. Talos is mirrored so far. Okay, and here's the first recon by Talos. So basically, you can see how far it can move. The recon can go all the way up to the forest tile here, and then from there, it's just four move points, and then it has 8 more move points available to just move around up in the. Sorry, 4 more move points available to move around here. So there's like an interrupt. There's like a hit on this capturing infantry available, or at least there will be. And actually, Reika opened recon too. I missed that. I was not paying attention to every base. Okay, so Reika also goes early recon. So in that case, Talos, their recon was kind of a response to Reika's, as in Reika's came first. Okay, so only infantry builds here. Interesting to note that it is day 5, and both of them are like on pretty low income. So like there isn't a lot of nearby captures available. In fact, with this infantry, from this initial base, it's base first and then 2 turns to get to a captured property. And then with the one base side, there are no 1 turn away cities. So the funding curve is very slow on this map. Okay, so some more captures. So here's this first interrupt by Reika. So it is interrupting a Sami infantry, so it is not quite as much of a problem as it would be for fighting other infantry, because an 8 HP Sami infantry can still capture in 2 turns. But you can see that Talos has not had enough money for a tank to counter. So you could imagine maybe a recon to counter as the move for Talos. Okay, so Reika has enough money saved up that next turn they can go for a tank if they choose. And importantly, this infantry is out of reach of this recon, whereas the other, when it was flipped, they mirrored their openings, but because of how the recon opening is built, I guess, hold on. Okay, so let's see. So yeah, because of the way that the map works out, so Talos doesn't have an option for a recon build here unless they skip this infantry build, which is completely out of the question pretty much. It's like a pretty hefty delay for every one of your properties. So you're eating like supposing you capture all of the properties around here, you eat like maybe a 5K overall disadvantage to your economy, which is really, you can't really do that. So building a recon here isn't really feasible. But instead, Reika finds this recon here, which I guess delays this city and this city, so it's delaying 2K. Maybe this city, so possibly 3K. But this recon actually gets a shot on a capturing infantry, and there's not much that Talos can do about it, unless Talos decided to capture differently. But this is like the most aggressive capture phase available, so I don't really see a problem with how Talos played it. Okay, so those are the capturing moves. Yeah, and then the important detail is that this infantry gets to move out of range of the recon. Okay, so no recon to counter this recon. That's kind of interesting. And this infantry actually staying put on the city. So I guess the idea is like the target for this, Talos is okay with taking a hit here. Okay, so there's the recon move here. Looks like there's a little bit of a trap opportunity for Talos to build a tank. Although you wouldn't be able to surround on all sides, so you would have the bottom side open and then build a tank. But even that requires a base skip, or yeah, you're not going to join your units because then you don't have the trap anymore. So yeah, it looks like well thought out by Reika, not stepping into a trap really, unless Talos is going to base skip. Okay, so by moving the recon up here, this is kind of an aggressive infantry move by Reika. It loses free HP basically, and then guarantees this capture follow-up. And then there's no recon on recon hit here. So yeah, this seems like kind of free dude giveaway by Reika. Yeah, I mean, there's even if the let's move all the way back. So yeah, Reika moving here just it doesn't look great because it's not you know like it's not going to interrupt this capture successfully if purple decides to go for the capture. It's a free hit by the recon. You're never going to capture the city. So yeah, this infantry move looks pretty suspect. Let's go back to okay, this is about where we were. I will say though, okay, so wait, hold on. Oh, it was 9K, not. Oh, I see. Okay, okay. Yeah. It was 9K, not 8K. I misread. So yeah, actually, Talos does go for the recon trap, which I kind of was looking at. So you can see here, like the recon has some freedom to move down below, but every square the recon can go to, the tank can hit. So I would say probably best thing to do is like spread out more damage, like maybe hit this full HP infantry so that you can capture safely here. So the trap kind of hurts. I mean, it's like an expensive unit compared to the infantry that it's hitting. So okay, that works too. If it kills, yeah. Well, I mean, even if it doesn't kill, like the full HP recon, the full HP infantry is not going to fully interrupt this capture. So yeah, Rika's recon here got 3 shots onto Sammy infantry off. Um, I wouldn't say that it really pulled its weight as much as you would like it to, but um, it's okay. I mean, honestly, like I'm not sure. Like the recon moving down onto this plane instead of hitting from the road tile is kind of suspicious because it just kind of dies, and you don't have any other options. Like it's better to attack from the road so that when all these infantry move up and move around, this recon has the option of sacking into the tank, or maybe the tank isn't built. So suppose the tank is built, then you have the option of sacking into it, or you can go and retreat into the covering fire of your mechs. Okay, kind of a curious move here, putting the recon on a road next to this other recon. Okay. Oh, I see. It's blocking the 2-hit KO. All right, that's the important gist of what's happening. so so I guess the other question is if Reika can sacrifice this infantry into here and then hit with the recon, if that's enough to bring the infantry down to 3 HP. So yeah, we'll see what Reika does. Okay, so captures go through. All right, so it doesn't go for the sack. It's probably fine because even if you do interrupt, like you interrupt for 1 turn, and then the mech destroys your recon in retaliation. Okay, also this attack onto this 5 HP infantry, I mean, I suppose it does a lot of damage, um, but it's going to be 7/7 and then a captured tower. Okay, this attack is good though, it seems. I mean, the tank has a free shot if it wants it, but it's an even enough trade. And it's trading on the 2 base side for Rika, so that's a good thing. Okay, so I'd say things are still looking pretty even, although Reika did lose that early recon, which hurts a little bit. Okay, so infantry dies here. Okay, and Talos actually continues to stick this recon right in the middle, giving the mech a really forward position to sit in. That's nice. Okay, so Reika finding this pickoff is nice. Although there's like for both sides, there's kind of free shots everywhere. So it's just a matter. I mean, that's not always a bad thing. Like sometimes you have to allow a free shot in order to do like a better attack. So it's not the end of the world. So I will say though that Talos seems to not have. Let's see. Yeah, so there's the two free shots right there onto the center infantry. So I was going to say that Talos doesn't seem to have quite as much control of this choke point on the mirrored side because of the lack of artillery. But on the other hand, he doesn't need to because all of Reika's units are way in the back here. So yeah, Talos can actually, because there's no threat on the upper right, Talos can move center, threaten this property with a mech support from the mountains, and take control of the center area here. Uh, and then on the symmetric side, I guess he's just waiting for Reika to capture this city here, which it looks like it's actually going to be a mech that's going to take that capture, which is always a little bit awkward. You like to have your infantry, not your mechs, captured because you want to have your mechs free up to like comfortably counter hit whenever your opponent threatens to attack. Okay, now this position here looks pretty strange. I mean, the mech is like supposed to back up this infantry, but you could imagine like recon infantry coming in, and then like or recon or tank infantry coming in and then recon hitting the mech. And then this tank is kind of out here in the open, looking a little bit. I don't know. This position looks like pretty complicated. I'm sure Rika thought about it and that it works, but it does kind of smell funny to me. So we'll see if Talos finds a way to hit this. Okay, so there goes the infantry, and then actually, yeah, tank hitting mech is clearly not going to work. But yeah, and tank hitting tank is out of the question too. So actually, the nice thing about baiting this mech out though is you can counter hit it with infantry. So it'll be mech trades for recon and then dies. And you would ideally this is Reika's only forward mech. Reika's other mech is way back here. So this kind of baits out or suggests that Reika trade their, their precious mech on the front line for a recon, which unit for unit is not worth it. It is value wise, but there's like also the idea of deployment cost and cost efficiency. And since the mech took so long to get here, it's like a lot more value has been sunk into this mech. And the other thing is like, of course, the mech hits tank, which is kind of the good unit in this game. Okay, so mech kind of dives off of the city in order to get here, and then tank onto the city. Okay, so it looks like the mech is gonna definitely die. And it'll be interesting to see where this artillery ends up. You could imagine it going as close as here, but then you're talking about getting it shot by an infantry, perhaps. Yeah, so it's getting pretty. Okay, so it's one square back. So yeah, the position is like quickly becoming very complicated. It's pretty unclear about what the right thing to do is. So Talos is going to snag this city, which is a nice find. Um, and actually, this anti-air is kind of dangerously close to being cut off. So this B-copter with this anti-air support could potentially push center. I don't see a way to two-hit KO this tank unless you sack an infantry, maybe. All right, we'll see. We'll see what happens. But this is a very complicated spot to be in right now. Okay, nice find there. 4 HP infantry killing a 2 HP infantry. It's very efficient. Okay, and that's a big shot onto the artillery, which kind of makes this position crumble. So now you could probably move the B-copter forward, hit the tank for free, cover with your anti-air against the other B-copter. Although that said, like there's kind of a lot happening. Okay, so the tank moves down. And the infantry almost finishes the artillery off. And the B-copter actually just goes for an infantry shot. But importantly, it kind of blocks. The blocking doesn't really matter. Okay, and recon dives, anti-air's in position. Well, actually, the anti-air doesn't cover this tank, so this B-copter has a free shot from the top here. Although there's like nothing to hit the B-copter right now. So, okay, it's not a free shot. Okay, so pretty big mech up here. And then Reika looks like they're in pretty bad shape. Like, this tank is completely trapped. The artillery's gone. They have a CO power available, but this mech can't hit anything with the CO power, and then no other mechs around. So actually, this looks, yeah. Next action, resign. Yeah, yep. Okay, yeah. So I would say basically what happened there is the position became so complicated that probably both players kind of went into this attack not exactly knowing what would happen, but it just came down to the fact that there were so many possibilities that one person wins. And in this case, it happened to be an upset. But you could easily imagine in a position this complicated, Reika coming out ahead. So now we could like talk about what makes this complicated. I mean, there's a lot of different types of units here. There's infantry, mech, there's recon, tank, artillery, anti-air, B-copter. So like every unit every unit except for APC that costs 9,000 or less is involved in this attack. So there's like a lot of counters, and you have to resource manage different things. So importantly, because this, I talked about earlier having the disadvantage of having your mech capturing a city. Well, reasons like this are exactly why. So look at Reika's move here. The mech has to finish, or Reika feels compelled to have the mech finish the capture. But really, if the mech was even just one tile over, it's still out of range of infantry. But now with CO power, it could like get up onto the mountain. This mech is kind of out of place, but I guess that can't be helped. But yeah, there's just a lot going on here. And I think that it was actually a really nice catch by Talos. I mean, probably one of the more important exchanges in the game is this one right here, where Talos realizes, oh wait, I can interrupt this capture with recon artillery, with recon infantry, and then the counter hit with mech doesn't hurt that bad, because this is like your most important. This is like your Fianchettoed bishop. This is such an important unit. and for it to for the mech to go way out here and die against this recon, like the recon is not that important a piece. So losing this mech for the recon, I think, is not worth it. And like the tank is on solid terrain, but it just doesn't quite have enough backup in order to like safely be there. And I, I wonder if Rake actually didn't move planner this one, because you can see pretty clearly like the amount of firepower that's about to come down on your artillery here. Like you can just imagine a lot of good alternate moves. So if that's what Talos does and you lose your mech, I think probably what you do, you could finish capturing here. I mean, it's really hard, when you talk about like a mistake that kind of costs you the game. It's easy to say after the fact, like, oh, just make any move that isn't this. Well, no, there's a lot of other losing moves. Yeah, like it's hard to know ahead of time that a move has like a costly counter hit to it. So it's like really easy in retrospect to point out these moves, but um, in the in the heat of the battle, like it's really hard to figure out what works and what doesn't. Yeah, I mean, really, like losing the artillery here hurts a lot, and then the tank trap on top of it. It actually is kind of curious, though. I guess the reason you don't attack with the B-copter is because you do mech hit from the artillery spot, and then B-copter hit from above, and that 2-hit KOs this tank, and then the anti-air comes in and kills the B-copter there. So yeah, I was wrong about that. B-copter hitting from the right here loses you the B-copter, and like there's a lot higher of a um, there's a lot higher value in killing this tank. Whereas now it's like you spend all these resources trying to kill this tank just to rescue a 6 HP tank, as opposed to killing a $9,000 battlecopter. So yeah, I think it really comes down to this move, which is the move that Rika resigns on. Just didn't quite see it coming, and then ate a big attack for it. And actually, a nice little compliment here. So a nice thing to do on your backbreaking moves is, this attack here, where like the battlecopter kind of flies in and hits this infantry. Normally, you would never make this move, but since there's already such a strong attack happening, you like take away options that your opponent has by doing a little bit of extra damage on top of it. So these two things, taking the infantry down to low HP, means that there's like not much room for Reika to find moves with these extra pieces. Like you could imagine them like regrouping over to the left, but now that everything over here is wounded, and this B-copter wants to attack this B-copter and the tank and the other tank, there's just not all that much. Like the B-copter's overloaded is basically what I'm trying to say. It has too many targets and only has one attack per turn. So yeah, I mean, definitely very well played to Talos. The Sammy mirror, I'd say, is pretty volatile. You have this strange trade-off between wanting to build tanks, but also not wanting to get wrecked by mechs. So yeah, I mean, it's a difficult matchup, I'd say. In that, and by difficult, I mean it's a mirror matchup. So like both people have, there's no CO advantage. But what I mean by difficult is like it's pretty different from how a lot of other matches play. So it's it's a new skill to learn. So yeah, good games, and thanks everyone for tuning in for this most recent uh, season of the Global League Review. I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.